Okay, in this exercise, this drawing, you're going to need a sheet of paper lengthwise. So this is the longest edge going across the top. This is how you might normally turn in an assignment, but for these drawings, I want it always horizontal. So this is the 11 inches, and this is the 8.5. You will also need your protractor. You will need your compass, and a pencil would help. Well, yeah, you need a pencil. So in this one, first off, you're going to, in the top right corner, you're going to make a little box for your name, the date, and the class period. Those are essential for any assignment you turn in. Okay, name, date, class period, along the long end, the long edge, on the top right in the top right corner. And then this one we are going to, let's see, what is this we're doing? The definition of a circle. So I'm just going to write the title up here, kind of big. Definition of a circle will probably fit right there if I write it semi-big. Definition of a circle. Okay, and then put a title box around it, make it look nice, and so on. Okay. All right, the first step is we're just going to make a dot. All right, and I'm going to show you the definition of a circle right here. That's the definition of a circle. It's a set of points that are equidistant. Now that might be a tough word, but it means equal distance, the same distance from a given point or from a point. So the important words, a set of points that are the same distance from another point, and we call that point a center. Okay, I'll put this back up again, and I want you to copy that down later, but right now you're going to make a point somewhere in the middle of this paper, and then get your protractor out, or if you have a ruler would also work, but and I want you to line it up, and let's see, let's pick dots that are 2 inches away from this dot. Okay, so here's the 2 mark. So that means if I want another one, I'm going to have to go to the 0, which is a dot right there. And let's pick another, maybe over in this area. And it's easier for me to use the 3-inch mark. So if I'm at the 3, 2 inches away would be at the 1. I'll put a mark there, and I want to do 5 of these marks. And let's see, I'll put it at the 2, and I'm going to make a mark down here somewhere. So if I'm at the 2, 2 inches from 2 is 4. Oops, I have trouble making a, I'm going to erase that one, start over on that one. 2, right there. Okay, and maybe 1 over here. It's looking a little empty right there. Again, I'll use the 3. I just want 2 inches away. 5 marks that are 2 inches away from this mark. All right, and I've got 4 dots in this area. Oops, that did not erase quite good enough. What the heck, I'll put 1 down here. All right, so we'll line it up. It doesn't really matter, I just need 2 inches so I can line it up with the 1, and we'll come down to the 3, and I think this is a good area. All right, so that's the last mark, and remember, oops, definition, set of all points in a plane. Now a plane is like a sheet of paper. That's a plane. It's a flat surface. It's not 3-dimensional. It doesn't have any height. It is just width and length. So set of all points that are equidistant. So we measured 2 inches from that center point, and we're going to label that the center. I'm just going to, let's see. Well, I won't do any labeling here. First one to do, I'm going to start labeling my outside points, A, B, and I'm going clockwise. Clockwise is this way around the clock. If you're standing here, it'd be to the right. Here's a C, there's D, and there's E. All right, those are my points. And I should have done this when I did the points, but I want to make a line from each one. So if you're watching this ahead of time and you're watching the whole thing before you start, you can go ahead and do that when you make these points. And a tip for drawing a line, a good line, is put your pencil on one of the points, then slide your ruler or protractor up to it, and then hold it still and connect the dots. Do the same thing here. Now, if you're familiar with circles and terminology, you might already know what these lines would be called, and that's fine. But I'm kind of showing you, they're like spokes on a wheel. Maybe not a bicycle because they come at all kinds of different angles, but like their traditional wagon wheel, whatever. Either way, I think it makes my point. They may not all be hitting exactly at the same spot. If I were to zoom in on that, I don't know if I can. Can I zoom in on that for you? You can see that they're not exactly hitting the perfect center of that dot, but it's good enough for what we're doing. Okay. So again, refer to the definition: a set of all points in a plane that are equidistant. Equidistance, a common term that we're going to be using, which means the same distance. All the points that are the same distance from a given point, and that point is going to be called the center. Now, the reason I wanted to make these lines before I labeled the center there is because I didn't want the lines to be in the way of what I labeled. So I'm going to call this point P, and I know that's goofy because it should be C for center, right? I mean C. Anyway, but this is our center. That's our center. And coming out from here, once it's a circle, those lines will be our radius. But anyway, so now I want you to take your compass and your protractor, and you're going to measure a 2-inch distance between the tip, and I got that upside down, 2-inch distance between the metal tip and the pencil. So this is about 2 1/8, but right there, that looks pretty darn close to 2 inches. I could just put my point right here and measure to there, but that kind of defeats the purpose. I'm measuring the same distance that I did when I drew these points. But now I've got this set, so no matter where I go between this point and this point, that's 2 inches. And since the definition of a circle is the set of all points, every point, it includes even points that are between A and E, points that are between D and C. And if I put my compass, the metal tip, on that first original dot, and I draw a circle, and make sure, I'm going to put a few sheets of paper underneath this so it doesn't slide like that. Or if you have a magazine, maybe not a really thick magazine, but just a couple sheets of paper might make that easier and it won't bounce out from underneath you. Alright, so that's going to stay a little bit better. And then just very lightly, and I'm leaning my compass around, I'm just doing a light circle. And I'm going to come back around this way. The trick with drawing with a compass is to go light and not force it down, especially if these are like cheap compasses. This distance might actually slip on you, or this tip might bend. See how bendy that is? Anyway, you just want a real light touch. So this here, the distance from my compass, even out here, this is 2 inches. If I were to measure anything here from the center, I'll put the 3-inch mark there. So here to there should be 1 inch, and then clear across the other side should be 5. Oh, and my finger was covering it. That's 5. So no matter what, every distance between P and that circle is 2 inches. I mean, given the pencil width and all that, it isn't super exact, but as far as the principle is concerned, that's what it is. So now, the only thing left to do is for you to copy the definition of a circle in this area. So in this area of your paper, I want you to copy this word. So maybe pause the video, write it a little bit smaller, be as neat as you can, and put it over here on this side of your paper. And when you're done with that, make sure you've got your first and last name, the date, the period, all of these, and then you turn it in. Okay?